Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the pharmaceutical reps wash up on the eastern restless shores. And the fine dining kitchen staff of JDB return to the deserts of Brimstone Sands. KOTT News caught up with JDB kitchen staff after their weekly payouts at City Hall. Congratulations on your victory here in Brimstone Sands, executing your right to rematch against the Marauders, and you were through the door in about 23 minutes. How do you feel it went down out there?
John, I mean, it was a good war, the last time, it went a little longer, but this time, I think we really, look deep, look in the mirrors, realize who we are, and, what we did is what we were supposed to do.
Well, is there anybody on your team who outperformed themselves tonight?
I want to give a big shout out to my bruisers, looking for a hot demon girlfriend and Ice Pylon. They really set up some really good plays. Our B gate, we're doing well too. Shout out huge back gate diff. And just and we can't forget our healers, the Zombie and our IGBG Fred. They also played huge parts. The Zombie really kept us up, and I think. All our 5 men's did great, but at the end of the day, I want to just give a special shout out to Group 4. I think they played fantastically.
KOTT News were also able to speak with the pharmaceutical rep in Restless Shore about their victory as well. You must be absolutely exhausted, all the effort you put into the battle out there tonight, running uphill in the mud. How do you feel it went out there?
John, it was really tiring. It was a really long war. We put our best into it and somehow came on top.
Somehow managed to pull through. Well, are you expecting any pushback in the next couple days from the Dodgers who were otherwise occupied elsewhere tonight?
Most likely, I believe this is their favorite territory, if I'm not mistaken. So, I'm assuming they'll be trying to get it back in the near future. But we'll do our best to hold it.
Earlier in First Light, KOTT News were on the scene as Marauders of Iron Reavers began a ritualistic performance signaling the beginning of an influence push of the region. An Outcast representative stopped to speak with us about their fight earlier in the night before responding to the incursion. It looks like they weren't satisfied with the results or looking forward to fighting again. Off they go and get the influence started again. Would you care to take us through how it went down out there?
Happily. So they came out, they ran it down B gate. It was a little spicy. Just cleaned up around the 10-minute mark. They took out B, John. And might I say they did it valiantly. After they took out B, staggered out a little bit at C. Maybe it was A. I don't really remember. It was it went down to one point. And there's some players out there and it was pretty sick.
Oh, a little divide and conquer then. Were they able to get to Fort Face?
No, not this time. Not this time, but next time, they got it.
You think so? You think they, with improvements and a little more practice, they're going to be able to get to Fort Face, huh?
Yeah, with a little extra sauce, they get to Fort Face.
Excellent.
No doubt.
Well, I hesitate to ask because I suspect I know the answer. Was there anyone on your team who really stood out there tonight?
Yeah, there was. Panda Uchiha dropped it was a 30 bomb, a 30 McChicken nugget from McDonald's. He put it out on the line out there, and without him, I don't know what we would have done.
It's time once more for the weather, and lo and behold, it's another day of sunshine all afternoon long. Then be on the lookout after sundown as corruption invasion forces pop up across 20% of the island. Another lineup submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate members of Globogym assault the Covenant forces of Outcasts for control of the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. Invoking their right to rematch, the Serpents of Globogym slither into the center of the battlefield and stand ready to reassert themselves as rightful rulers of the region. But the Zealots of Outcasts have been rallying behind their great apostle and winning many victories across the island. Will such an inspired people possibly fall? We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, This has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.
Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report.
No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the average Joes win out against the Serpents of Globo Gym. We spoke with a team representative about the matchup. Congratulations on your victory out there in Morningdale once again, retaining control of the region in the name of the Covenant. How do you feel it went out there, my friend?
Yeah, they kind of gave us a run for our money. They eventually did take us to 4 at the end, but we held it out most of the time. Yeah, we just held it down and came out victorious.
A word from other participants were that the Musket Squad were really on point tonight. Can you give us any comment to that?
Yeah, of course, Musket Squad is the best. You know, we hand trained by Panda himself. We even decided to drop down and shoot some enemies, get off our wall.
Was there anybody else out there who stood out in their performance tonight?
Well, mainly Panda. You know, he trained the whole Musket Squad himself so that we can perform, as you heard. And I also want to give a shout out to the pen shot ability on the bow. I was told to run it or it will be benched, and I ran it and it's broken. So thank you to Kai for that.
Quickly to the weather today, and as the sun continues its not-so-perilous journey across the clear Eternum sky, be on the lookout for corruption invasion forces after sunset across 30% of the island. 4 more lineup submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Marauders of Iron Reavers assail the Covenant forces of Average Joes for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. The last time the Iron Reavers attempted to ransack the shrimp and shanty town of Reekwater, they were turned away. But with a week of practice, maybe they're more prepared. It wasn't Outcast who turned them away before, but they'll do everything in their power to do so today, as they struggle to maintain their grip on the Reekwater Union of Fishermen. Meanwhile, the Syndicate members of Pharmaceuticals assault the Marauders of Bottom of B-tier Dodgers for control of the island's primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Pharmaceutical forces avoid slogging through the bog by taking the northern pass in from Eden Grove, taking advantage of their knowledge of the local geography. Bottom of the B-tier Dodgers were not caught unaware, though, as their patrols around the remaining territory have been high since regrouping back to the bog. Later, the Marauders of Cybersecurity attacked the Syndicate members of Strawberry for control of the medicinal hot springs and resort destination of Ebonscale. Cybersecurity attempt to hack into the Ebonscale Tourism Council mainframe and steal away all the cryptocurrency and NFTs assigning ownership to the resort destination. But will they succeed with 12 kilobits? Strawberry forces may know what all that means, but they don't know about all that, because all they need to know is that tonight is another night of fending off simultaneous assaults. In the nightcap, the Marauders of Unethical assault the Syndicate members of Strawberry for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. The Marauders of Unethical mixing it up once again, this time taking a new path into Monarch's Bluff. But will they overcome the divided forces of Strawberry? Standing with the setting sun at their backs, the Syndicate members of Strawberry look out over the enemy before them, patiently awaiting the signal of the battle horns. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.
Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report.
Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Unethical claimed the crown and kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. KOTT News caught up with an Unethical spokesperson about their victory and their intentions. It's over in a few moments, so I take it you were able to go out there without confrontation.
No, there was plenty of confrontation. A lot of healers out there. A lot of people staring at us. Some people shot mortars. My consul actually ended up dying once because he's washed. Overall, pretty easy war. Strawberry was just too easy this time. You know, they weren't ready for it.
Oh, shots fired to Strawberry. I see. Well, was there anybody who, in your eyes, really stood out in their performance tonight?
Oh, absolutely. Cyan had a bow, and he was just shooting down their turrets left and right. I held my shield up for him to block the mortar strikes. It was a great time. Absolutely stunning performance by him.
Well, let me ask you a civic matter. Now that you have retained the rights to the monarchy, do you have any intentions for the hamlet?
No, probably not. As of right now, our governor and a bunch of our other people are just out pushing other territories, just looking for more wars.
Moments later, KOTT News were able to secure an interview with Strawberry leadership about their 2 outcomes.
Yo, John, I'll do the interview. Where you at?
I'm right here. You have something you ready to talk about the fight?
Hold on. Let's see, what do I say? I mean, there's not much to say. That was not a challenge at all.
Well, they might say the same thing about Monarch's Bluff. Do you care to take us through your decision-making process for tonight?
Yeah, we decided to make it easier on ourselves and hold 2 territories. We decided to prioritize Evan scale. We just let the roster autofill. We're holding Airful forever though, John.
That's the hope. I'm looking forward to it. You're fast approaching the Never Fall record at 13. Are you looking forward to meeting it? Or hopefully breaking it?
No. We're gonna aim beyond that. We're gonna set a record that nobody else can pass until the game dies.
Earlier in Weaver's Fin, KOTT News were able to speak with Dodgers leadership about the state of their affairs.
Congratulations on your victory once again here in Weaver's Fin, holding it down as you do. Would you care to take us through how it went down for you?
John, we came out strong through A, through C, 50v50'd on B, pushed up to the war camp in the end. Just did our thing, you know.
Was there anyone who stood out in their performance tonight?
John, really, I gotta give the shout out to B Bonfire. They really tried capping B Bonfire, but ain't nobody take our Bonfire. That's ours.
Turning to the weather, and once more the sun will continue to shine on throughout the day, keeping corruption at bay. But once more after sunset, the corruption invasion forces will rise up across 20% of the island. Another lineup submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of Iron Reavers assault the Covenant forces of Coconut Wireless for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. Curious about the opportunity to fight a new opponent, Iron Reavers rush into the woods to test their might against the newly anointed Great House. The Zealots of Coconut Wireless have barely had time to assess the materials list for completion of the church, but they've upgraded the fort and are prepared to defend it. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.
Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report.
No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the forces of Coconut Wireless retain regional control of the bear-infested northern forest of Brightwood. KOTT News caught up with the Coconuts at the Covenant command point overlooking the valley outside of town. Congratulations on your victory here in Brightwood, once again retaining the bear-infested forest for the Covenant. How do you feel it went out there, my friend?
You know, honestly, it was a pretty good fight out there. You know, we stuck true to our guns, played with our team. You know, they put up a fight. They fought, and we had fun out there. You know.
Yeah, I think I do know. It was a pretty fun one to watch. I saw that they were 50-50 for most of the second half of the fight, but in the end, you did prevail. Was there anybody out there whose efforts really stood out in your eyes, though?
You know, we had one of our fresh spear players put up basically 50 kills, and that's a win in our books. That was Baboon Banana.
Oh, Baboon Banana. I know Baboon Banana.
Yeah, the healer put on a spear and put them down.
Well, I guess one more follow-up. What are you, any ambitions between now and the next spring event for the Brightwood?
You know, I like to stay out of politics, John, and I don't want to, give any hints as to where we're headed, but let's just say it's going to be an explosive spring.
Turning to the one-day Doppler radar forecast, and it's looking like another day of blue skies and calm winds. But be on the lookout after sundown as the cool winds pick up and invasion forces rise up across 30% of the island. Another roster submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of Bottom of B-Tier Dodgers assail the syndicate members of Pharmaceuticals for control of the barely controllable Restless Shore. Bottom of B-Tier Dodgers get back to work ransacking across the island, once again targeting their rival who recently assaulted them. They'll show them who attacks whom. Pharmaceuticals are scattered all over the eastern Restless Shores, but they'll clean themselves up for another get-together at the top of the Mud Hill to see who remains its king. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Marauders of Bottom of B-Tier Dodgers wrestle away the Restless Shore. KOTT News met with Dodgers leadership on the ceremonial ship docked in the bay. Congratulations on your victory here in Restless Shore, once again returning to the anarchy on the archipelago, taking control of everything. How do you feel it went out there tonight?
John, I'm a little disappointed. We kind of trolled ourselves. That war should have been over 15 minutes sooner than it was.
Well, would you care to take us through what went down?
John, we capped the points in 4 or 5 minutes, fought on the last gate for a little bit, made a couple pushes, trolled a little bit, and then just finally capped the point.
Oh, I see. Well, that being the case, was there anybody out there who followed instructions as precisely as you wanted them to?
John, all the groups rotated flawlessly. Got a couple people getting antsy and pushing in a little bit early, but I mean, you can't blame them too much. They just wanted those numbers.
As citizens prepare to celebrate a holiday renowned for excessive drinking, KOTT News would like to remind its viewers to be especially cautious tomorrow. Turning to the weather, and the sun will rise and carry on as it routinely does once more again today. Then, after another uneventful afternoon, corruption forces will rise up and invade 20% of the island. 3 more roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of Bottom of B-Tier Dodgers assail the Covenant forces of Outcasts for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Dodgers forces attempt to secure their position on the eastern shoreline of the island. A victory tonight will give them a strong tactical advantage reacting to future aggressions. The Zealots of Outcasts will be divided in their efforts on the hour, with this defense requiring the attention of the majority of their forces. We'll know early on how dedicated they are to holding it. Meanwhile, the Covenant forces of Outcasts assault the vault of JDB's kitchen, attempting to steal away the island's financial capital of Windsward. Outcast forces split between 2 battles, but not on the same side of the battlefield. So if the offense can muster up some worthy mercenaries, they can go for both victories. JDB's kitchen are also going to be dealing with the constraints of simultaneous encounters, but they'll be dealing with a commitment of 80 over 2 fights, something they've done before, something they may do again. In the north, the Marauders of Unethical attack the syndicate members of JDB's kitchen for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. The Marauders of Unethical carry the confidence of their overwhelming victory over Strawberry with them into the desert and challenge JDB for the most recent expansion region. Raising an eyebrow in curiosity, JDB's kitchen staff prepare a reception for the Marauders that they may not be expecting, fully prepared to accommodate seating for both parties at both private events. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of bottom of B-tier Dodgers rip away Reekwater regional control. And the forces of Unethical dominate the defense in the dunes of the desert of Brimstone Sands. KOTT News caught up with company leadership after VODs and got their reactions. Congratulations on your victory here in the deserts of Brimstone Sands, managing to capture the fort from the syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen. How do you feel about winning?
Oh, thank you, John. I feel great. Just want to give a shout out to our shot caller, Meow. Also want to give a shout out to everyone in our leadership. It was a great war. Good job on slotting everybody. Also, playing in Brimstone is just as bad as just standing in the city doing this interview, John. It's the most lag-fest war ever.
Having some resource-intensive management out there, huh?
John, we're definitely going to be spending our money and coin resourcefully in this area to make sure that it's got successful ECR runs. We're going to do everything we can to get the dungeon updated. Yeah, you're going to see AGS is listening. You'll see.
You're going to put your own personal efforts into upgrading the dungeons and maximizing the efficiency of the ECR runs around here. Is that correct?
Correct, John. Brimstone's known for its PvE elements. It's not really a PvP area. You know what I'm saying? But from what I saw, you know, JBD's Kitchen, great war roster. There was a lot of named war players, you know. War players, John. Named war players. Okay. They can claim that the Windsward defense, you know, is why they didn't slot so much here, but again, John, named war players.
In Reekwater, Commander Hibby spoke with KOTT News about their victory and future ambitions. Congratulations on your victory here in Reekwater, once again freeing the Reekwater Union of Fishermen from the clutches of a 100% payroll tax. How do you feel the fight went out there tonight?
John, we were hoping for a little bit better of a fight out there. It is what it is, but we're looking forward to Outcast running it back and having a good war with us.
Indeed. Well, in the meantime, between now and then, do you have any intentions to expand your empire beyond the eastern shorelines?
Yeah, John, we're going to try to, you know, take over anything that has to do with a swamp or a dark and gloomy area, so Brightwood's our next target.
Indeed, indeed. Do you have anybody who stood out tonight in their performance? I know it was over quickly, but surely somebody did exceptional.
John, I got to give a shout-out to B Bonfire as the MVP of the game.
Is there anything else you might like to say to the citizens of Eternum?
John, we're going to make sure that this Reekwater Bridge does not come back.
Turning to the weather, and even though it's going to be a beautiful afternoon all day long, be on the lookout for a rough night of corruption invasions across 40% of the island. 2 more submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. First up, the Syndicate members of Pharmaceuticals attack the Covenant forces of Outcasts for control of the northern observation post of Morningdale. Pharmaceutical forces were seen making the slow march up into the mountains earlier this week and now have set up camp prepared in all-weather gear for the combat about to begin. Outcast forces, recovering from a split decision last night, will have no problem focusing their team into a dedicated game plan tonight, but will low visibility be a factor? Later, the Covenant forces of Error.pxp assault the Marauders of Unethical for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. Error.pxp forces marking their waypoint on the bluff for the first time. They'll have to navigate uncertain terrain if they hope to get past this chaotic enemy. Unethical making their defense of the Crown for the first time as well, but with 2 straight victories over 2 island powerhouses, they like their chances. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as both great houses hold court and retain title to their respective regions. KOTT News caught up with an outcast cult member in Morningdale after their victory. All right, congratulations on your victory here in Morningdale, once again retaining the rain-drenched mountain region. How do you feel it went down out there?
Pretty well, but there are some things we got to work on, John. I mean, for sure, we had some discipline issues out there, some things we should have done better, could have done better, myself included. So definitely a work in progress for some of our players.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel the terrain and weather affected your play tonight?
We always enjoy a good Morningdale War. Lots of opportunity for some big fat Dex plays out there. Lots of opportunities for some elite blunderbuss play. I do want to make sure to mention that Panda Uchiha is the greatest blunderbuss bow, musket, bruiser player that's ever existed. I think he's also BIS IGVG, and he's also BIS at other things that haven't even been created yet.
Your faith in Panda Uchiha is remarkable, I must say.
He's unstoppable. He's a machine.
Do you have any future ambitions here in the Northeastern Territory?
Well, I want to keep it upgraded and want Morningdale to be a place where people can come and do their crafting and feel good about what's happening. We try and take care of the territory as much as possible and not have too many trash buffs up. So come get a house in Morningdale while we have it. You always have Hale and Hardy. You always have Stalwart. And you always have some meaningful crafting buffs.
But yes, lately I've been hearing people looking for engineering.
Engineering is one that we like to keep up here. I like to try and keep an exotic one up here. I think we keep Arcanist up here because a lot of people don't have Arcanist. I think we're going to put engineering up in Morningdale next.
Later in Monarch's Bluff, KOTT News were able to get a word from the reigning rulers of the monarchy.
It was a hard-fought one, man. This was a hell of a war.
Indeed.
25 mercs. I think they got outcast. Quite a bit of yellow. A few named war players, I think is the correct verbiage we like to use.
Yeah, I've heard that term bantered about recently. Named war, indeed. Yeah, in your fort with 20 minutes to go, but you held the line. Little Eye of the Tiger. Take us through it a little bit more.
We definitely did. Special shout out to the rotate teams that we had set up there. Groups 3 and 7. Their kill squad was tough, man. They got up on the fence. They were raining arrows down on us. We were just deflecting that shit, trying to go up and hold them off. It was great. Definitely adrenaline pumping, that's for sure.
Excellent indeed. Was there anybody out there who really stood out in their efforts?
Particularly, I want to shout out Forcewain on the kill squad. I don't know who that man is or where he came from, but man, he came out of nowhere. He was tearing it up.
While retiring to the hot springs to relieve some muscle aches, KOTT News stumbles onto a hot scoop. All right, I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to give away anybody's any strategies you might have that you got close to the vest, but you look like you might be theatrical. Do you have are you a playwright or an author by chance?
I dabble in a lot of things, they call me, Jack. John, they call me Jack, Jack of all trades type of beat, but I can't really tell you too much, but I can tell you that it's going to be very entertaining when we come back.
Excellent. Well, we'll be looking forward to this new company, and that your company name again?
The Wozniaks.
The Wozniaks. You got it. Here come the Wozniaks to the server, everybody. Look out for the Wozniaks coming soon. Quickly to the weather, and it looks like the sun will return and grace us with another day of sunshine and comfort. But oh my goodness, the evening storms that will occur as 30% of the corruption invasion forces scatter across the island. 3 more lineup submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Covenant forces of Error.pxp assault the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen for control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Error.pxp turn south and attack the next opponent in their path along the western shoreline, as they hook south into the crocodile-infested Keys, seeking their next waypoint. JDB and his kitchen staff may look isolated and cut off from the rest of the island, but they're not trapped, they're secluded. To them, it's another pleasant night of individual engagement. Meanwhile, the marauders of bottom of B-tier Dodgers attack the Covenant forces of Coconut Wireless for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. Dodgers' forces return to the woods they clear-cut once before, and now that the saplings others planted have grown, they have returned to strip the forest yet again. The druids of Coconut Wireless have been communing with the bears as the Azoth-infused trees regrow, so they're already at the fort standing by to prevent deforestation. Later, the Covenant forces of outcasts assail the marauders of bottom of B-tier Dodgers for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. The Union Busters of Outcast return to reimpose their 100% tax on the Reekwater Union of Fishermen, but their pro-bridge stance is simply 1 inch too far. Dodgers leadership have vowed to claim all the dreary regions of the island. Preventing improper bridge construction is just a fortunate coincidence. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.